The best estimates suggest that there are around 55 million meetings a day in the U.S. alone.
That's Steve Rogelberg. He's an organizational psychologist at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte.
And as you move up the organizational hierarchy, individuals spend more and more time in meetings.
He's written a book called The Surprising Science of Meetings.
Trying to understand why they go bad and trying to figure out how to make them better.
Which is important because, again, 55 million meetings a day.
And it's not a surprise to find executives spending, anywhere from 50 to 90% of their time in meetings.
So does that fact mean that the people who end up running companies or institutions are basically the people who are good at meetings?
Oh, I wish that was the case. But no, that does not appear to be the case. Bad meetings have just been accepted as a cost of doing business.
But there's a wrinkle.
Well, we know from the research that people actually want to have some level of meeting activity per day. And this shouldn't be a big surprise. We know from social psychological research that humans are inherently social creatures. And so there's value of interaction and engagement with others.
In any case, just about everyone agrees that meetings could use some improvement. So let's hear what the experts say about meeting basics. Establishing a goal, setting an agenda, deciding whom to invite, even determining the length.
I just want the leader to think about how long the meeting should be. So given a set of goals, make a decision, right? This is particularly important given something called Parkinson's law. And Parkinson's law is this idea that work expands to whatever time is allotted to it. So if you schedule an hour, it's going to take an hour. But if you schedule 48 minutes, it's going to take 48 minutes. Psychological research shows that when you add a little bit of pressure, it creates more focus and optimal performance. So if this results in you starting your meeting at 1:12 p.m. and ending at 1:50, so be it. You are in control. When you are thinking about your agenda, consider framing it not as topics to be discussed, but consider framing it as questions to be answered. By framing it as questions to be answered, it's easier to determine who needs to be there because they're relevant to the questions. We can actually design the agenda such that part of the agenda is relevant to a large group of individuals, and then part of it is relevant to a smaller section of that. So a big group attends for part of the meeting, and then people leave. And then it's a smaller group that has additional discussion. And people really appreciate being given arguably the best gift in the world right now, which is time.
So how should you start a meeting?
Allocate the very first part of the meeting to reading the preparatory materials, because at that point, at least you know everyone has done it. And then there's other unconventional tools, like even if I have a large group of folks and I want them to engage strongly on a topic, if I have people pair up and work in dyads, even just for a few minutes, and then come back together as a group, me having folks work in dyad changes the whole dynamic of the large group discussion, such that the decisions and solutions being generated might surpass what any one individual could have done by themselves.
Steve Rogelberg has found some other small measures to alleviate the pain. Snacks, of course, getting people to switch out of the usual seats, using anonymous surveys so people can raise objections without fear of reprisal. The research shows that just asking attendees to rate a meeting raises the quality of meetings at that firm. And what about when people sit through meetings staring at their phones?
When an employee walks into a meeting, they are relinquishing control. And so how can you get that control back? Well, you can daydream, you can make lists, or you can multitask. And so that's how you can reclaim your power. So one of the techniques is trying to build a break in the middle of a meeting. So if I tell them, hey, I promise you in 30 minutes you can check your phone, that's going to help put their minds at ease.
And one final important thing, how do you end a meeting?
You know when to end the meeting because the questions have been answered. People want to feel that their time was well spent. And this becomes a cue to tell you that indeed it was. If you know you have absolutely answered these compelling questions, then you leave there saying, I accomplished something.